Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru, and welcome to episode 36 of Re-Unboxing. Now I said in a previous video that I thought I had gone through all the games, but I was sadly mistaken. Actually, no, not sadly mistaken, because I would have been leaving out a lot of games from my collection, because I have a plastic tote here that has Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and N64 games. I totally forgot my N64 games. And I also have a classic cassette case that has my Sega Genesis loose carts, so I'll show that off here. So let's get started with this tub full of games here. First things first, Super Game Boy. How can I forget that? Game Boy Guru forgetting the Super Game Boy. It's just unthinkable. Here's a pickup from last summer. This is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the N64, and it's got a Property of Blockbuster sticker on the top. So this was at one point a rental copy. Picked that up at a garage sale. Same garage sale, I picked up Play Fighter 63 1/3. I got really excited because I thought, oh, this is rare, but what I was missing was that it's the sculptor's cut that's rare and worth tons of money, but still cool to have that. Paper Mario, which I actually bought from oh gosh, now I'm gonna forget the name. He does the Sega Does website and writes the reviews. Very cool. So he hooked me up with that. There's another game in here he hooked me up with as well. Got Pokemon Snap, which Zag hooked me up with. Copy of War Gods that I picked up a few months back. Star Wars Shadows of the Shadows of the Empire that I bought locally here a few months ago while I was in town running around. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. .1080 Snowboarding, which some people are speculating could and should make a comeback for the Switch. That would be interesting, I think. Here is Glover. I used to have that on PlayStation years ago. Got very frustrated with it and sold it. But I'm told the N64 version's a bit better. Mario Kart 64, of course. Midway's Greatest Hits. And a rather beat-up copy of Jet Force Gemini. Here's my Game Genie. It still has sticker residue from when I bought it. And have the manual for that somewhere. There is Star Soldier Vanished Earth, the only scrolling shmup released in the West on the N64. And I'm not sure there were any released in Japan other than that either. So very scant library. Super Mario 64, of course. No N64 collection is complete without that. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Revolt. Wave Race 64. Mission Impossible. It was a random pickup. Blast Corps. Killer Instinct Gold, which I actually got with my N64 when I bought it from a friend. some of these Game Boy games around so I can get to the rest of the N64 stuff here. Goemon's Great Adventure. That was also purchased from the same gentleman who hooked me up with with Paper Mario. And I'm remembering now, it's Dylan Cornelius, who does the SegaDoes.com website, and he's also on YouTube, has got kind of a vlog channel there. Good stuff. That was a few years ago now. There's Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. WCW NWO Revenge. This also came with my N64 when I bought it from a friend. Perfect Dark. And the last game that came with the N64 when I bought it was Majora's Mask. Also have San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing. Robotron 64. And Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Okay, now we go through some random Game Boy Color games. We've got Winnie the Pooh Adventures in the 100 Acre Wood. Bob the Builder, Fix It Fun. Rugrats in Paris, the movie. Playmobil Laura. No idea what that's all about. Disney's Pooh and Tigger's Honey Safari. Of course, honey spelled Hunny. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Something Dual Stories. That is one of those pickups that I probably need to upgrade at some point. Disney's The Emperor's New Groove. This is Disney's Aladdin. One assumes that's the Super Nintendo version on the cart. We got Yogi Bear Great Balloon Blast. Hey, boo-boo. Shrek Fairy Tale Freak Down. Yeah, Freak Down. Not sure how a Freak Down differs from a Freak Out. This is SpongeBob SquarePants Legend of the Lost Spatula. If he lost it, he should have just gone to Spatula City. Oh, never mind. I did upgrade it. So here is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Dual Stories. I'd forgotten that I upgraded that at some point. So I will definitely need to try and flip that other card. And look, here is a little piece of paper with some codes on it. One for the Smurfs Game Boy Color game, which I'll be showing off at some point, and then some codes for Mega Man 2 for the Game Boy that I kept in one of my my little Game Boy travel case. Let's see, here is Little Nicky, based on the ridiculous Adam Sandler movie. This is Spider-Man. Mickey's Racing Adventure. trying to get as many of these standard Game Boy Color games I can out of the way here. This is Commander Keen. Big Commander Keen fan back in the day. I remember playing Invasion of the Vorticons on PC endlessly, and then eventually Keen Dreams and the other games in the series. But huge fan of the Keen series, so very curious to see how that's going to play. We've got Magical Tetris Challenge. Here is Harvest Moon 3. Wario Land 3. Here is Dinosaur, which would be a completely boring title if it wasn't based on a movie of the same name. Even so, I still think it's a boring title. Here's Batman Chaos in Gotham. Let's see, do I have any more loose? Okay. Here is Zebco Fishing, which uses a either a AA or a AAA battery. I think it's probably a AAA, yeah. One assumes that's for a rumble feature so that you can tell how hard the fish is pulling. This is one that was a random Goodwill find. This is Bomberman Max Red Challenger, which was cool to find here. This is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Here's Pokemon Crystal with a somewhat janky label. Donkey Kong Country. This is Project S11, which I showed off the box for in a previous video. Fun little Euro shmup. Let's see here. Empty Game Boy case. Here is Bionic Commando Elite Forces. This was one of the first Game Boy Color games I got when I bought my GBC. And for some reason I never really got very far in it. Let's see here. I think that's all of the Game Boy Color only games. Now let's go over some combo carts. We've got Gex, Enter the Gecko. Quest for Camelot, based on that animated movie. MIB, Men in Black, the series. Oddworld Adventures 2. Clustar, which I can only assume is a puzzle game of some measure. Ms. Pac-Man Special Color Edition, which I was thinking yesterday when I recorded the manual video that I needed to get a hold of, but I guess I do. I'd forgotten that. I need to pop that in. I love Ms. Pac-Man. Here is Montezuma's Return. Loved playing the original Montezuma's Revenge on PC growing up. Here is Sesame Street, Elmo's 1-2-3s. Pokemon Pinball, again with the AAA battery slot. I think for Rumble, so that you can kind of get that whole pinball table effect. We've got Earthworm Jim, Menace to the Galaxy with the little number 2 there. Game & Watch Gallery 2. Pokemon trading card game. Got hooked up with that from Duke Togo from RF Generation. So thank you, Duke. We've got Pokemon Gold. I believe he hooked me up with that one as well, because he verified the battery for me. Oh, forgot to show, yeah, the Smurfs Nightmare. That is the one of the other Game Boy Color games that I bought immediately when I got the Game Boy Color. My wife wanted it, and it's actually a challenging game. Here is Pocket Bomberman. And we've got Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, which you saw in the video for that box. Frogger for the Game Boy Color, which is a fun version of that game. R-Type DX, which I bought as a new release and still have complete. Let's see here. Let's go over a couple of... Oh yeah, here's one more standard cart. This is Croc 2. And I'll show you a couple of bootlegs here. This is Spider-Man 2, The Sinister Six on Game Boy Color. You can tell it's a bootleg for a number of reasons. The label is really janky. It's way too glossy. Also, you see on the side it says Game Boy Color. That's what the box is supposed to look like. The actual Game Boy Color labels don't have that. And they have the sort of silver letterboxing on the side so that you can read the cart serial number or release number. So, yeah, definite bootleg. Plus, it's a color game in a gray cartridge. And if you can look on the top there, it just says game. And another bootleg, and I'll go ahead and take it out of the plastic case so that you can get a better look at it. But this is the 33-in-1, and it says for Game Color Advance, and then on the right side it says GB something Super Color. According to the label, this has Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, DuckTales, which it says DuckTales, but then the artwork is actually from Quackshot starring Donald Duck on the Sega Genesis. This has Mario Deluxe Land, which has a Super Mario and the 6 Golden Coins art. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, something Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry, Alleyway, Tennis Ball something or other, Bomb Jack, Clax, and Bubble Ghost. But yeah, it says it's for color, but I think most of what's on here is actually just original Game Boy games. And it's just a standard bootleg with a bunch of games on a cart and a little menu that pops up that you can select the game when you first load it up. It works. I've tested it. But it's just ridiculous that these bootlegs, they're pretty obvious. And I find that amusing. Okay, so let's see here. I've got a little, what do you call this thing? Just a little travel case that'll hold some memory cards and stuff. Right now all I've got in it is a 1 gig Memory Stick Pro Duo, but it'll hold plenty of those if you are a memory stick shuffler. Got a random Intech Game Boy Advance hard case there. And we've got Shrek 2, Beg for Mercy. We've got Golden Nugget Casino and Texas Hold'em Poker. We've got the Sega Smash Pack. Crazy Racers. It's always even more crazy with a K. Once again, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh game. It's hard to tell except for at the very top in the center there's the Gi part. So that's the only way I can tell that's a Yu-Gi-Oh game by the label. This is Tiny Toon Adventures Wacky Stackers. This is Frogger's Adventures Temple of the Frog. We've got Shonen Jump's Naruto Ninja Council. Naruto has been around forever. Super Mario Advance, which is Super Mario Brothers 2. And I think basically all they did was take the Super NES Super Mario Brothers 2 from the Super Mario All-Stars cartridge and spiff it up a bit more and give it a couple of additional features. Oh, I forgot a couple of Game Boy Color games here. Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. That was a random pickup when I was on vacation down in Texas, as was Game & Watch Gallery 3. That was a few years ago. Here's Earthworm Jim, which is apparently not a very good conversion. Fire Emblem. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. We've got a combo cart here. Nicktoons Freeze Frame Frenzy and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. So, 2 games in one. We've got Crash Bandicoot Purple Ripto's Rampage. One assumes a bit of a crossover there between... Whoa! Oh my goodness. I'm dropping carts everywhere. Crossover between Crash and Spyro, since at that point I believe Activision owned all of it, and Activision was doing Spyro games for the Game Boy Advance as well, which you'll be getting to see. We've got F-Zero Maximum Velocity. This is the Barbie Diaries High School Mystery. Random cart from Zag from a while back. This is SpongeBob SquarePants Lights, Camera, Pants. I suspect that in British parlance, that game is probably pants. Here is SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. This is Disney's Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Here's Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Always good to have a Kirby game. Wario Land 4. The only Wario Land game I don't own is the specific Game Boy Color version of Wario Land 2. I've got the original Game Boy version. And then, of course, the Virtual Boy Wario game. Super Monkey Ball Jr. Got Dragon Ball Z Boo's Fury, not Furry. Who knows? Boo could be furry. I know nothing about Dragon Ball. This is a combo cart with Battleship, Risk, and Clue. Got a couple of these video carts. This is SpongeBob SquarePants Volume 1, and these only work on a Game Boy Advance. They will not play on the Game Boy Player. This is a Cartoon Network Collection Special Edition. Not entirely sure what's on this one. And I think that has something to do with the video compression as to why that doesn't work. Here is Spyro Orange, the Cortex Conspiracy. So yeah, oh, I guess it's Vivendi Universal. Yeah, there was definitely some crossover stuff happening between Crash and Spyro at that point. Here is Strawberry Shortcake, Summertime Adventure. Another random GBA cart from Zag from a while back. This is Super Dodgeball Advance from Atlas. I believe related to the Kunio-kun series, if I'm not mistaken. Here is Pokemon Emerald version. And this is legit because it's the label's right and it's got the little imprint stamp. Yeah, this is a legit cart. Let's see here. I've got Top Gear GT Championship. Just looking at this label, I'm pretty sure that's a bootleg. The image is stretched. It looks terrible. The label is off-centered. And also the quality of the cart itself is pretty questionable. So yeah, that's another bootleg. A couple of random manuals in here that I didn't remember that I had in here was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Disney's Hercules, which is a Super Game Boy compatible game and one that I reviewed on the blog a while back. I have to get through more of those so I can make a video of that. Try and get some capture hardware so I can actually do it justice on the Game Boy Advance, because then you can hear the soundtrack is actually different on the Game Boy Advance than it is, or excuse me, the soundtrack is different on the Super Game Boy than it is through a regular Game Boy, because they enhanced both the graphics and the sound for that. And then Drill Dozer, fantastic Game Boy Advance game done by Game Freak of Pokemon fame. Really cool and fun game. And the reason that the cart is bigger is because this actually has a rumble motor built into it, because of the whole drilling aspect. So when you drill, you feel the drilling action. So pretty cool little game. A couple of random things here. I've got Clubhouse games for the DS. That was actually in the 2DS that I bought when I got it. It was last summer. I bought it randomly off a Facebook group. Some kid was selling it, and so I picked that up and got that. Also have the Game Boy Advance wireless adapter that I don't know that I'll ever use unless I do some Pokemon stuff at some point. And just because, the PSP camera. That's all in this bucket. Now I'll go ahead and show you this cassette case. This is one of these old school classic cassette drawer deals with the pullouts, but instead of cassettes, you can see I have loose Sega Genesis cards. So I'm not going to try and hold this and do that. I'm going to set it over here and just pull out one drawer at a time and tell you about my loose cards. So we've got Arrow the Acrobat, Arrow Flash, Atomic Robo Kid, Awesome Possum, which is not so awesome, by the way, a loose cart of Biohazard Battle, which was my initial version, and then I picked up a complete copy later. This is Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, but as you can see, it is a European Mega Drive version, so this will not play in my US Genesis or my JVC XI. And sadly, since I don't have a Retron 5 or another system yet that'll play this, I have not been able to actually play it. But that was a random game store buy, actually here in this town. Contra Hardcore, Elemental Master, which I would love to get complete at some point. Same with Fire Shark, one of my favorite shoot 'em ups on the Genesis. Gaiarus, Gaiarus or Gaiarez. I remember the ads for this featuring the Mullet Kid. Says it's pronounced Gaiarus. So, sure, why not? Good shoot 'em up. And of course, Golden Axe. So that is in drawer 1. Drawer 2 has infamously one of the worst Sega Genesis games, and that is Heavy Nova. Got The Lion King. A rather beat up copy of Outrun 2019. And I remember renting this game as a kid with my friends back in the day when we did like a weekend sleepover thing on the last day of school, and tons of fun with that. Phantasy Star 2, which I've had forever. Shining Force 2, which is much newer. Here's a not-for-resale copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. There's Space Harrier 2. Spider-Man. Sid of Valus, which I don't understand the whole Sid thing. I wonder if that was just their way of... I don't know. It's the SD or Super Deformed Valus, so it's essentially the first Valus game, but done in a super deformed, ultra cutesy graphic style. Thunder Force 2, which I also have complete. And that is all for drawer 2. And now drawer 3. We've got Thunder Force 3, which I really need to get complete at some point. Troubleshooter with that horrible cover art that is just ridiculous. It looks like two ladies from a ESPN 1980s exercise TV show, rather than the anime characters on the Japanese cover for the game, which was called Battlemania in Japan. We never got the sequel here. My beat-up copy of Truxton, which I've had forever. Another shoot 'em up here, Vapor Trail, or as the muffled voice on the title screen would say, Vapor Trail. Solid shoot 'em up. I've never quite warmed up to it, but it does have a good soundtrack, and it is a good game. It's just one that I need to go back to at some point and put some time into. Vector Man. We've got Viewpoint, Genesis conversion of that Neo Geo classic. Whip Rush, another shoot 'em up I need to complete. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. That was a random Goodwill pickup, which, even as beat up as it is, I thought was a decent deal for $5. This is Golden Axe 2 and Ride and Tread on the Genesis, which for some reason I thought I had complete. So now I'm going to have to figure out a way to complete this. And finally, Mick and Mac Global Gladiators, which is a McDonald's related game, and that was given to me or sent to me, sold to me, whatever, by the Single Banana. So at Single Banana on Twitter, he is an RF Gen guy. He runs the Playcast, and cool dude. Thank you again, Banana, for this game. It's one I've been looking for quite some time. So that's all I have for you today in this video. Lots of variety here, obviously, since this is all just sort of random carts, but what are some of your favorites for the N64, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and Sega Genesis, of course? How many of you out there own bootlegs? And are you into them, or is this one of those things where you maybe found one randomly, thought it was legit, and then got it home later and realized, I bought a bootleg? I kind of enjoy bootlegs just because some of this stuff is so random, like this label here with all of this garbage on it, or this that is so obviously a bootleg because it does not conform to the standards that other games have. So I find it fascinating, bootleg culture in the gaming world, especially for stuff like this. It's just interesting to me. I don't know why, but it is. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Game Boy Guru. I'll have a link in the description below to my blog where you can read all my Game Boy full game reviews. That's gameboyguru.blogspot.com. And make sure you check out Nira and his channel. He provided the Super Mario Land overworld music that I use as the intro for all my videos. And he's got a bunch of other great chiptune and game music covers on there as well. So make sure you check that out. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.